What does this mean? So we talked about high value, complexity, impact, right? Yes, TPM role is popular. But that means there's a lot of expectations of the TPM role. You're required to excel in the T, P, and M. You need to have deep expertise while need to be able to manage large complex programs across the breadth. And you have a shorter runway usually to make that impact. You need to ramp up fast. So higher expectations is what leads to higher bar, higher barrier to entry. Not everybody is cut out to be a TPM, or it just requires you to prepare more. Interviews at the top tech companies are tough to crack because they're looking for TPMs, for candidates who can be that redefined version of a TPM. They are able to meet those higher expectations. Usually at these companies, acceptance rate is low, which means chances of you getting into it are low. There is less room for error, which is why I was saying you need to have the core TPM skills. You need to be strong in all of them equally. And usually the FAANG companies or most of the big tech companies, they have a 6-month cool off period if you don't pass that particular round. So stakes are high for you. But see, all this doesn't mean it's a bad thing because higher expectations and higher bar result in higher compensation. It's a classic supply versus demand theory. We want the TPMs with specialized skills that can meet higher expectations. Talking of high paying job, here's what the total compensation for a TPM may look like at the top tech companies. Actual numbers may vary, of course, but this should give you an idea of what to expect and what to expect at each level. See, with each level, you are seeing that compensation growth and difference becoming higher. And that's also the difference between regular companies or non-tech companies versus tech companies, and then tech companies versus big tech companies, especially FAANG. A reason to really be able to crack that FAANG TPM interview is because FAANG usually will pay higher and they have these levels and everything more well defined. The role is also well defined. Of course, at higher levels, at staff, which is usually around level 6 at most companies and higher, there's a lot more expectations, which also gets reflected in the compensation, but also in the interview. So if you're targeting a specific level in an interview, know that the higher the TPM level interview that you're giving, the higher the expectations. And that means you really need to nail that interview. It also means that if you are able to transition to a TPM role at a top tech company, your compensation is likely to go up by 50 to 100%. And that's huge. So I hope you got a good idea of what's expected of the TPM role. So next, we are going to start diving deeper into how to crack that TPM interview.